Alright, second story out of 4 today, guys. Just a little FYI, I'm trying to include how many stories there are because I noticed yesterday with a lot of the stories that went up, YouTube just stopped telling people after 3. So, that's interesting. So 2 out of 4. Breaking, the people win. Belgian Prime Minister resigns over UN Migration Pact. You get the impression that it wasn't a very popular move, is it? Boy, I wonder why. The Belgian Prime Minister, Charles Michel, has said he will resign after facing a no-confidence motion in his government. The decision can be seen as another result of the migration crisis and especially the UN Migration Pact. The member states of the European Union have taken to the bulk of migrants since the 2015 crisis. The influx of millions of refugees, or economic migrants as I like to call them, mostly seen as economic migrants, has changed the makeup of the EU member states. Migrant criminality rising in countries where the number of migrants has also risen is giving way to votes such as Brexit and the rise of populist politicians. The career-ending UN Migration Pact has seen millions across the globe signing their names to the petition. After the petition, at least half the member states demanded the government not sign it. In Belgium, we saw protests including by the N-VA, Belgium's largest party, and part of the Prime Minister's coalition against signing of the Migration Pact. The party announced it would leave the coalition if Prime Minister would go to the Morocco to sign the pact. The Prime Minister, Charles Michel, did not change his plans and was forced to replace several NVA ministers in his government, which has continued as a minority government. The motion of confidence had been put forward by the Socialists and Greens over his stubborn stance. Today he's announced to Parliament, "I have decided to resign and will immediately go to see the King." So look, obviously at the end of the day, I find it interesting that the left, it says here that the motion being put forward by Socialists and Greens. I find that interesting. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, I don't know what this means for Belgium. This is obviously going to be interesting. I had heard about this yesterday, that he had gone through and had to replace ministers because of this. And that people were signing a no-confidence vote against him. Obviously, look, at the end of the day, this guy's pro-immigration. Obviously, it's cost him his job. And hopefully this will be a warning of many, many others. Because even Macron, for example, has been accused of treason by French generals and signing the Migration Pact. I'll actually talk about that very, very quickly right here. So Macron accused of treason by the French generals for signing the UN Migration Pact. So General Otto Moraes has written the letter signed by 10 other generals, an admiral and colonel, and it also includes former French Minister of Defense Charles Million. They've given a strong warning that Macron's signing of the UN Global Migration Pact strips France of even more sovereignty, providing an additional reason for an already battled people to revolt. The highly decorated military co-signees assert that Belgian Macron is guilty of a denial of democracy or treason against the nation for signing the Immigration Pact without putting it to the people. The French state is late in coming to realise the impossibility of integrating too many people, in addition to totally different cultures who have regrouped in the last 40 years in areas no longer submitted to the laws of the Republic. The letter advises also saying that mass migration or immigration is erasing France's civilian landmarks. The pact, which has been protested in the Yellow Vest demonstration in 5 countries, was signed by 164 nations, most against the will of the citizens, as stated in dozens of countries' specific petitions on Monday in Marrakesh. The immediately opposed and disastrous document declares unlimited migration to be treated as a human right and criticisms of mass migration to be treated as hate speech. So you can see why a lot of people have a lot of problem with it. So look, at the end of the day, obviously the Belgian Prime Minister, French Macron, this UN Pact is basically a kiss of death for anybody that has actually gone through. It's something that we've also talked about here, where we've actually even said that the UN Pact is actually legally binding. So they lied. The UN Migration Pact is actually legal binding because, like, even Phil DeFranco said in his video yesterday that it wasn't. I have response to that credit. I have commented on his video saying that it's actually incorrect, that it is legally binding. It does say on the document that it wasn't, but when questioned about it, here, Mr. Halber asks, you can see it clear for yourself that during the conference, the spokesman for Morocco emphasized the agreement was legally binding. He said clearly in a literal sense that the corresponding legal bond for all nations taking part was an obligation of implementation. You and your delegation did not raise a single word of objection to that statement, but idly accepted it. So this whole, no, don't worry, it's non-binding is basically a front. Basically what they're hoping is that people will go through, sign it, and then once you get on board, or once you turn around and say, whoa, hang on, we don't want this, we're backing out, they then can turn around and start handing you fines or forcing you to take this agreement. But I think the biggest thing that they want with this is the whole fact that you can't criticize immigration, that criticizing migration would be considered hate speech. To me, that is the biggest concern about this, because it means, like, people like me, for example, if I criticize immigration, which I do pretty much on a daily basis, then I could be charged with hate speech. And that is a big problem as well. But yeah, guys, look, at the end of the day, obviously this whole UN Migration Pact is literally falling apart. People are pulling out faster than they're pulling out a couch, or pulling out of a $5 hooker. But yeah, like I say, look, at the end of the day, yeah, it's a kiss of death for anybody that signed it. And I'm sorry, but you signed this against your country's will. What did you expect was going to happen about this? You're going to tell me that these people didn't sit there and didn't realize that this UN Migration Pact was not going to be very popular? Oh boy, what, sure. That or they're very disconnected from their base. In which case they need to go anyway. So yeah, I'm kind of glad that he's been forced to resign. I'm kind of glad that Macron is getting, literally getting people accusing him of treason. That's a little bit older news. That happened on the 14th, so about 4 days ago. I don't know what the update to that is. But like I say, yeah, I'm really not kind of surprised at all. This whole migration thing is just basically a kiss of death for anybody that signs it, and good on them. You screwed over your country, you should be charged with treason. I don't know, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on the Belgian Prime Minister being forced to resign over this UN Migration Pact? What are your thoughts on Macron? Should he be charged with treason? What do you think about this UN Migration Pact? I know I've covered it in the past few days, but again, do you think that they're going to force people to sign it? Or do you think they'll stick to the whole, oh no, it was non-legally binding, you can get away with not signing it or not doing it? Or do you think once it's implemented, they're going to be like, no, you signed this, you have to keep to it? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack a like. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I'll see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great day and enjoy.